Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Game of Thrones recap before the new season starts. Live here on Dedicated to Art. Well, not live, pre recorded, but we're here. I'm Kees Cornelissen, joined by Ryan McClellan and Irina Muha. All three of us are huge Game of Thrones fans. This is one of our all time favorite TV shows. And that's why we wanted to, first off, just give our thoughts on the show so far before the final season starts. And then from this Monday on, every week, we're going to review every episode. Just 6 more episodes, then the show is over. I cannot believe that we're here. I remember starting back in 2013, just before the third season started. I started watching. I binged the first 2 seasons, and that was my introduction to Game of Thrones. From that moment, I was hooked. I've seen the show a lot of times since, because I love the show. So, guys, Ryan, how are you doing, and what are your thoughts on Game of Thrones?
Yes, I'm doing pretty good, man. Just keeping busy as always. But yeah, Game of Thrones, man, as far as like how I got into it, I was in training. It was like still really early on in my Army career. And one of the guys that I worked with, he was like, oh, he was just talking about how Game of Thrones season 3 was about to start. And yeah, basically the same time frame in 2013. And he was like, oh, you haven't seen it. You need to see it. And he said, my dad has the Blu-rays. So he lived like not too far away from where we were doing the training at. So he's like, I'm going to go steal them and then we'll just watch them. I think he had DVDs or whatever. So we just watched them on a laptop. And even watching them like on a small little laptop, I was still like, this is awesome. And I've rewatched all the way through probably like 3 times now, I think. So yeah, it's definitely something that I come back to. I try to watch through at least the most recent season, if not all of it, when a new season comes out. So yeah, I think it's just really good storytelling. That's why I keep coming back to it. So
Very true. Now, I remember how you started because I introduced you to the show, but give your.
You didn't quite introduce me to the show. Like I've been hearing about the show for a very long time, but I wasn't watching it. I don't know why. Then around season 4, I think, when Joffrey died and spoilers were everywhere, I'm like, oh, that little shit died because like I heard about him.
Yeah, by the way, guys, we're definitely doing spoilers.
Oh my
If you're
God.
not caught up to the show, I don't know why you're watching this.
yeah,
Continue.
yeah.
Anyway, I saw spoiler and I'm like, I heard that he's such a shit, but he's dead. That's a pretty huge spoiler. And I was like, if I ever want to watch this show, I don't want to have all the spoilers. So maybe I should start. So I watched season 1 almost. I stopped. I stopped because I got distracted. I was partying a lot at the time. I didn't have time.
That's a fair
and then
reason.
and then you showed me and hooked pretty quickly.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that mostly because of the fact that the first season, at least the first 2 seasons, a lot of people were. If you have complaints about the first 2 seasons, it takes its sweet ass time to get there. Finally, it really takes some time to finally get some payoff. However, when you do get the payoff, it's pretty satisfying, I'd say. But yeah, like for me, why I was hooked onto the show was the production design. Just the production, just everything about this, it rivals modern blockbusters these days. Actually, it's better than most blockbusters coming out these days, and that just shows like when a TV show can rival movie quality, and such good storytelling, which grips you, which is good, and that was just one of the reasons why I was like, this show is amazing, and I cannot wait to see where it goes. Especially because, like they, in the first couple of seasons, they give you little glimpses, like White Walkers and dragons and stuff like that. I want to see where that goes, but you have to wait a while for that to actually. Then, of course, when you get to the later seasons, you get that payoff. So now we're finally in the payoff stage, but back in 2013, it seemed like such a long way to go. Like we only just got the dragons. They're still small. Ooh, this is gonna take a while. But now that we're there, yeah, it's pretty satisfying for the most part, I'd say. So like the writing is great, the production design is great, visual effects, acting by most of the cast. I mean, if you just see how many stars this show has created in terms of movies and TV, it is amazing. And of course, I love my fantasy worlds. I love Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter. So yeah, Game of Thrones
You
fit
do?
right in there. Nah, can't tell by the posters behind me. So it was just right up my alley in terms of that. So that's why I keep coming back to it. Ryan, what are some of the qualities of the show that you love?
I think that the biggest thing that drew me in and kept me coming back was, I think, just that fantasy storytelling that's done so well. I mean, obviously it's based off of some pretty popular source material, but it's also
Mhm.
easy to mess the source material up. I mean, look at how many
Yes.
books get turned into movies and it's just crap. So the fact that they were actually able to successfully take that, and like you said, with the production design and the actors, and they drew it all together, they brought it all together and made something that's actually really good and really fun to watch. And I think that's the biggest thing, is because, I mean, it's easy to say, oh, well, there's just like the unexpected always happens and someone always dies. And so, yeah, there's a lot of those intriguing elements to where you're like, oh, I want to know what's going to happen next. But also, you care about the characters. So you want to know who's going to succeed and who's going to fail, even without, oh, who's going to die next. So that's fun to talk about. But I think it's more than just that, because you want to know the stories that are being told, and they're told in really interesting ways, especially as you get into probably like season 4 or 5, where like a lot of the stories diverge more and more, and they kind of intertwine in really interesting ways. But yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
probably what has kept me the most interested.
true. What's it for you? Why do you love the show?
Yeah, you asked that question, and I'm like, I don't really know. I just love it, but I think the like I'm just gonna say the things that popped into my head immediately. That no character is just clear cut good or bad in the
Mm,
show.
that's true.
Everyone is complex. You might say John is good. That's why I think season
And
8.
Joffrey's bad.
Yeah, that's why season 8 will come and play. But we'll see what happens. Like I don't know, something's so yeah, characters are very different, and the show doesn't give you everything that you want. It gives you a little bit, and you want more, and so you continue. Then they can pull the rug out of you, and you're like, okay, thanks for that. And
Red Wedding, hello.
Yeah, exactly.
also, I think that they they kept introducing good characters. Like first we have all the main cast of characters. Then we got Davos. Then we got Podrick. Then we got Brienne. It just slowly we got there to where we are now. But it's just there's a little bit of that. There's Miss Sunday. There's that.
Mm, yeah,
Everyone that we love so much. They weren't there from the beginning. That's why you want more of them, because there were. And that's why you watch the show. You're looking forward to seeing them finally, because they're not there in season 1, and you're like, give me that.
that's true. Yeah,
No, Stannis can screw himself. But
we'll get into that in a
yeah,
little bit. Yeah,
I'm
yeah. With I will agree. Yeah, with the characters, what the show really does really well is, while it has multiple storylines going on, it will sometimes make you think that you have a protagonist. Season one, you think Eddard Stark is the protagonist. Guess what? He dies in season one, and it's like wait, what just happened? Who are we going to follow now? There are plenty of others that already are set up throughout, but you don't really notice that because mainly it focuses on Eddard Stark. So then you're like, okay, now we're going to focus on his son, Rob, and Catelyn. Oh wait, they die in season 3. So it's like, wait, who are we going to focus on now? And the show does it every time. It subverts expectations, but in a way that you still keep watching. Not that in a way you're like, oh, I hate this show. Fuck this. They keep killing off my characters. No, they keep killing off the characters. However, they still keep you interested with these other characters because there are so many characters. And speaking of characters, let's just go into our favorite and least favorite characters that we have. Of course, the show is known for the amount of characters that it has, and as I said, it changes all the time. Who are main players? Who aren't? Who die? Who actually manage to survive? If you have lived since season one up until the point that we are now, you are a master of this game, and I really wonder if you survive the next season as well. I doubt it though. um, but Irina, speaking of characters, you already mentioned some. What are some of your favorites?
John is number one.
Jon Snow,
Yes,
or is it Aegon Targaryen?
of course. No, yes, John, but I think that John, I did expect to like him even when I didn't watch the show, so that was an expected love. The most unexpected one is Jamie. I love Jamie so much. When I would just
Especially if you see how he was in season one, everyone hated him, and now you go to.
That's why I thought I would hate him too, because I only heard about him like this is incestuous brother and he seems like a dick. But then in season two it starts and I'm like, "Oh, I'm in. I'm fully in.
Oh, cutting off a hand did something to his character, I
Yeah,
think.
and Brienne, and it's just
Hmm.
we know that he was kind of good all along because
Oh, he cares
he
for Tyrion. That is very
like,
important, and you already see that
he
in.
killed the Mad King. We know his
And that was
motivation.
needed. That was definitely needed if you see
Yes,
what the Mad King did.
yes. In terms of others, Tyrion obviously, Dany obviously, like everyone loves those. Davos, love
Oh,
Davos.
Davos is great.
Brienne, she's a little lower. Like I don't have a list. I don't
No,
keep
no,
a
no,
list.
that's true.
It's
Just
just
name characters that you like. That's
yeah,
this
little
portion of the
things
show.
like we're going to dislike later.
We'll get there in a bit. Ryan, some of your favorite Game of
Uh,
Thrones characters.
Yeah, I think it's an obvious pick, but from the beginning, Daenerys has been interesting just because of where she comes from, I think, and it's obviously very purposeful how George wrote it, but the fact that it was able to carry over, she comes from arguably nothing, even though yes, she has a bloodline, but really, I mean, she
Well,
didn't
that
know who
bloodline is almost wiped out for the most
exactly,
part.
and she really had nothing to her name, and she's made, and I think honestly, one of the best parts about her is she's made a lot of decisions I don't agree with at all, but
Same.
she
True.
still, she works through her mistakes and she perseveres, and that's what's interesting because she's not a perfect character. Some others I like Littlefinger, even though I root against him still.
Oh
Like
no.
he's just intriguing and like funny, and it's fun to see him backstab.
Whenever he's on screen, you're just like, what is going to happen? You're intrigued by his
Exactly.
character, and I do
Yeah.
think that's also due to Aidan Gillen's performance.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's great. And
Most of the characters are owing to the
To the
actor.
performance, yes.
true, true.
Sorry.
And it's interesting to see the back and forth between him and Varys in the earlier seasons.
Yes.
Like they have a really good, and then later on, because I like Varys as well.
Oh
Varys
yeah.
and Tyrion becomes a really interesting
Oh yes.
relationship.
Mhm.
Definitely.
So, and then if I were to name one more, I've been interested often again, like another smaller character that I don't always agree with, but Melisandre, is that her name? What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Melisandre.
So yeah, okay. I always get worried that I'm mixing it
Yeah, you
up
have
with Missandei, but
Melisandre and
yeah,
Missandei. It's
right.
similar.
But definitely Melisandre, yeah, because she's always in the background doing something kind of weird, kind of creepy,
Sinister.
and giving birth to a ghost
Yes.
smoke demon thing. Like I
Yep.
don't know. It's just I want to know more about her and what she's doing. I mean, then there's a scene, since we can do spoilers, where she's like all old and wrinkly. They kind of keep like building on her. Yeah, I
Ugh.
know. They keep,
I remember seeing that episode. I was like, really? This is what you're giving us, Game of Thrones? Fuck you.
yeah. So they keep building on her like mythos and history, and it's just
True.
really interesting to see. So yeah, those
True.
are some characters that I like.
Yeah. Well, for me, yeah, my absolute favorite character is Daenerys Targaryen. There's a reason that there is a Targaryen thing over there, and I have it on my shirt because, yeah, I love Dany. I also love Jon, Aegon Targaryen, as we know. Um, yeah, there's something about Targaryens, not the Mad King or Viserys. I mean, he deserved to die in season one, like he did. And uh, I'll mention a character that we haven't brought up yet, because you mentioned Jamie, you mentioned Tyrion, but none of them would be as great without Bronn. Bronn of the Blackwater. if that guy
True.
doesn't get a castle in his next season, I don't know what I'll do, but there will be riots. He deserves his goddamn castle or two. He just needs it.
Oh, and Sam.
Uh,
If you mentioned Braun, you
oh,
gotta mention Sam.
Samuel Tarly, yeah,
Yeah,
Sam. Oh, that's also Sam makes Jon Snow as great of a character as he
yeah,
is. I think.
definitely.
Yeah,
Um,
because Sam is kind of a little bit annoying, but the whole Citadel storyline for him is really
oh, that's great.
intriguing, and he helps like widen our gaze of the realm, like
I,
what we know about things.
Sam would probably be one of the very true good characters of the show,
Yeah,
where
right.
I don't sense a lot of bad things in him, besides the fact that he sometimes is a little bit of a pussy.
I agree that in the season 1 and maybe season 2 he wasn't on. I just remember that once he understood who
What the
he
night?
is,
Yeah,
once we accepted him, like he's not Sean, he's not like gonna be an awesome warrior, but he's brave
yeah,
and he's gonna be a good friend to John. At that point, when he accepts him, the Night Watch accepts him. We all understand him finally. Like
yeah.
so,
True.
that's a good progression.
That's true. Yeah, that's also the thing. Like most of these characters that we mentioned have been in the show for a very long time, so we've seen their arc, and we've been just really intrigued by how they have grown as a character since the first or second season.
Now, I'm
Um,
I'm actually surprised that neither of you brought up Arya. I was kind of expecting one of
Because
you
she's
to.
um,
gonna be
because
in my dislike
because
characters.
well, let's
Okay.
just go to our least favorite characters because look, I'll say this about Arya. I loved her storyline in season 2 with Tywin,
Yeah.
in season 3 and 4 with the Hound. The moment she got to Bravos, that storyline was dead. And I didn't go anywhere, and I didn't like where it went, and I just don't care for her anymore. And it makes me sad because I think that they had something really intriguing going in the first couple of seasons. And even with like Jack and Hagar, when he is introduced in the second season, he's like one of the most intriguing
Mhm.
characters that you see. And he's like, I want more of this. And the moment she gets to Bravos in season 5, that is dead. Nothing of the potential that I thought was there was reached. And it was so disappointing that it made me dislike Arya and Jack and Hagar, who were two characters that I absolutely loved in season 2. So um, yeah, that's one of the things that I think the show writers didn't really do well. Her storyline throughout seasons 5, 6, and 7, because it just was not that interesting to watch anymore.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, you
I
agree.
agree. I wonder what Brian thinks.
Uh, what do you
Um,
think of Arya?
I think that yeah, she started out really interesting. I see like that buddy that showed me Game of Thrones. His favorite character has always been Arya, and kind of still is. I mean, he also read the books, so he's like
Yeah,
kind of has
I've
that
heard great things
background,
about her in the books. That's true.
right? But I think that yeah, her story kind of died out in the middle of there. But I think the one place I'll kind of disagree is I think that in season 7 it experienced like somewhat of a revival. As much as you could bring that story back from the dead, I mean, it was interesting to see her. Well, I mean, obviously she kills. What's that guy's
Right?
name?
Walder Frey.
Yeah, the Frey. Thank you. Yeah, Walder Frey. So that kind of like brought her back into like, oh, okay, she's doing things again, and it was really creepy. Like she like whatever chopped up his sons and made him eat his own
Oh,
children. So that was like,
uh,
okay, this is classic.
that was straight out of South Park.
Yeah, this is classic Game of Thrones. So that was more interesting. And of course, without her little interaction with the soldiers, we don't get Ed Sheeran in Game of Thrones. So
Most useless
yeah.
character ever.
But it was fun. It was
It
something
was fun.
different
No, that,
outside
that
of
was actually a
everything
good point.
else. Yeah, it was nice to break up the monotony because Game of Thrones season 7 had so much going on. Like it was just so fast paced. Like it was nice
Yeah.
to slow it down in a couple scenes. Specifically, it felt like the Arya scenes, and it was pretty bone chilling. I think when the whole Walder Frey things. So I won't say I hate her. She's definitely not a great character, but I have at least hopes that she'll have a good resolution coming up. We'll
I
talk
do,
about that later,
yeah,
but
I
yeah.
think I think so too. It's just that everyone seems to love her, and I'm just really not on that
Yeah.
bandwagon,
No.
especially after the storyline that she had in Bravos.
If the first scene is her like getting stabbed in the head, I really won't care one way or another. So.
No,
That's not who
no.
I'm there to see.
Brian, do you have a least favorite character or one of?
Um, Not really. I mean, there's the characters you love to hate, like
But that's
Ramsey.
different. That's different.
Yeah. So like I can't say I really have a character that just like I hate altogether. What is hmm, the I know his name is like on the tip of my tongue, but the guy that loves Danny, but she doesn't love him back, and he's gets
Jorah?
Jorah.
Jorah.
You
Thank
don't
you.
you don't
I
like
think
him?
no, I think he's
How
like
did we not say Jorah? And
I,
favorite
I
characters.
think he's interesting at the beginning, but then he just
I
kind of
love that
like
guy.
he makes every stupid decision possible. So it's just
Yeah.
it's crazy. It makes me like so annoyed. And like his story with the whole like I'm gonna get scales and then come back and find her, and it's just like I
Okay,
don't
that
care
I agree.
anymore.
It slowed down,
Yeah,
but I still
that's
Yeah,
still enjoy
less.
it.
I just
Um,
really don't care what happens to them. And then if I had to pick like one other, I this is like kind of a hate but don't hate as much since the last season was I really used to hate Sansa, but
oh yeah, I agree.
now this past like season or so, I think she's really coming to her own. So I don't hate her as much, but yeah, she
Oh,
definitely. Every time I rewatch the early seasons, she drives me nuts.
yeah, I agree with that. But with Sansa,
Have another Joffrey.
Yeah.
I can't hate her as much anymore, especially because she admits herself that she was
Right.
a really annoying child, and yes, she was, and we all
Yes.
remember that. She has definitely changed, especially since season 5, since the like one of the worst episodes of Game of Thrones ever happened, when she was raped. So yeah, that just shows okay, she's finally learned how this world works, and definitely in the last season she's become a lot better of a character. Um, I will just say a character that is absolutely beloved in the books, and I think everyone
That's
in
my
every
least favorite character. That's my least favorite
yeah,
character.
it's my well, it's one of mine.
Okay.
Stannis Baratheon.
Yep.
He
Yeah.
is terribly portrayed by Stephen Delane. I think. Uh, I really think I've seen on several Game of Thrones groups that um, people who read the books love him in the books, but do not agree with with the performance by the actor in the show. He had a very yeah, not climactic death.
Anticlimactic.
Anticlimactic. Yeah, there you go. Anticlimactic death, anticlimactic ending, and it just I've never liked him since the first season. Uh, second season actually. He wasn't in the first season. He was in the second. Um, I've never really liked him, and especially when he burned his daughter, I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
fuck you. You deserve to die, and he did within
Yeah.
a few episodes. So okay. Um, but yeah, that's also your least favorite character.
Nothing about him. Only okay. Shireen is great, and I thank him for Davos, but
Yes.
seriously, the biggest issue I have with him is, first of all, it's the issue I have with the show where everyone thinks they're entitled to the throne.
Oh yeah.
It's okay. It's fine if you're a child, if you were a kid of a king, it's fine that. But you were a brother of the king.
Yeah.
Who are you? You're no one. Like
No,
go
but
away. And he's like, I'm
I
such a big deal.
if one of your family relatives has ever been on the throne, even though it was 100 years ago, you have right to the throne. That is what everyone thinks. Like that's what the Targaryen claim rests on. That's what the Lannister or just any character who claims themselves king. Or you can
and
still be an open rebellion like King Robert.
and I would say another like really like famously hated character is Theon, which
Oh
he is
yeah.
yeah. There's some good parts with him that are like end up being funny and or
Yeah.
just interesting altogether, but overall he's just like really annoying to have to deal with because he never does anything. Like everything just happens to him. He never really does anything as a character besides be a little shit. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and in the last season, he finally has a chance to just be there for his sister, and
And
no,
he
he
jumps
just
off.
like, fine,
yeah.
take
Jumps
her.
off the ship and does nothing.
That
It's
was
like,
that
Yeah.
was yeah, that was
wow.
disappointing because there should be something for him. If
Right.
he doesn't, if he doesn't have a redemption moment, it's gonna be disappointing. But
I
he's,
don't know.
I
He's
feel like
probably gonna die.
he's probably gonna crawl
Probably.
away into the cave again. Can I add one more
Yeah.
character? It's not more of a character, more of a storyline. Bran.
Oh,
I don't understand.
Brandon Stark.
I just don't understand. I know what's happening, and I understand everything that's happening. I know it's gonna be very important, but it was very really boring to me. Every time he would come, I don't care about Jojen. I don't care about Mira. I don't care about anything. Even Hodor didn't like hit me that hard because I don't care about the storyline. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know he cries every time. But yeah, just I have an issue with that storyline.
I completely disagree, but sure.
I know.
I think I can split the difference and say that I understand where it's going and that it's doing some stuff, and I don't think it was terribly boring. But there are certainly times where like it'll cut away from something else. I'm like, oh, is this really the storyline we're going to right now? But I think that the way it's paid off recently, like especially like his reunion with Sansa last season, that was pretty interesting to see. Like you can see he is not perfect,
That's
not
not Bran
really
anymore.
human anymore. Yeah, exactly. And so
No.
that alone is really intriguing to me.
Like yeah. Bran's storyline has always intrigued me because the Three-Eyed Raven was something completely different, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of lore behind that I don't know and I want to know because it's very fantastical. That's one of the most fantasy elements of the entire show.
He's a Targaryen. That was confirmed.
The previous Three-Eyed Raven,
Yeah.
yes. So that alone makes that entire storyline extremely intriguing, and the fact that he can see anything. And that's the thing. Like he will. It will be very exposition heavy. I know that, but it's still that's important. That's very important information for the show that people need to know. So I love that storyline. And yeah, that's one episode that made me cry, and it still makes me cry. The door. It's simply called the door. I just remembered. So we're gonna go to our favorite episodes slash moments in the show. Well, I have a list, but I'll just go to Ryan. Name us a famous episode or episodes that you loved or moments.
Yeah, I can give you moments better because
Yeah.
like I don't. For me, there's always like not. There's almost always something that I like. I don't know. Episodes for me is kind of hard to say, but like I can think of some awesome moments like right off the jump. That one that doesn't get mentioned as much, I guess, is when Jamie gets his hand cut off. I've always loved how that scene progresses because they're like talking through it, and he's trying to be like all smart ass and like talk his way out of it. Yeah, he's trying to be like really oily and use his not Targaryen, Lannister. Lannister always pays as if you let me go, like your life will be amazing and all this, and then it's simply chop. He like stares at it for a second, and then before he can scream, it just cuts to black, and it's like, oh shit!
And it's a stupid version.
Yeah, and then the music that plays is a rock version of The Bear and the Maiden Fair.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of funny.
Weird
like,
choice.
Yeah, it is weird, but I think that like kind of hits the impact of you're just like, wait, what the fuck did I just see?
Yeah.
So I like that, and then I guess like the most like one of the more common moments is well. Yeah, I think like the Battle of the Bastards ended up. I was a little underwhelmed, but it's still like I think when you watch it and you see like how much had to go into making that scene, it's still pretty impactful for how like cinematic it is and what it means for the story. Because everyone wants to see Ramsay just finally get what's coming to him, like get this Bolton fucker out of here. So it was good in that sense, and I think I need to rewatch season 7 because I really don't remember any specific scenes that like I loved. But yeah, once you say them, that'll remind me. But yeah, those are two huge ones.
The Battle of the Bastards is a standout episode because of filmmaking. That is absolute pure gold filmmaking in terms of how it's made. How it's written is completely predictable, and I predicted every step of the way. So I'm like, that's kind of disappointing because I watched the show for its unpredictability, not because it's predictable. So that was kind of my gripe with Battle of the Bastards, and that's why I will always say The Winds of Winter, the season finale of season 6, is better than the Battle of the Bastards. Simply because that opening scene where we have the bells ring and we see the Sept of Baelor, and then the score kicks in.
Yeah,
and you're like, this is something else. This is something. What is happening? You have and it's just score. There's no dialogue. It's all visual storytelling and score. and you're like, this is something else. What is happening? And it's a trial of course, Loras and Cersei. And then you get to the moment where Lancel is chasing the kid in uh, the how do you call it? The under the sept.
Catacombs
Yeah,
or
catacombs. Yes, catacombs. Um, and then he gets stabbed, and you see the wildfire, and you're like, "Oh
Mhm.
my god, this is going to happen!" And then
Yeah.
they blow up the Sept of Baelor, and it's like, "Wow!" And just the way that scene is crafted is perfect filmmaking.
Yeah.
And then you still have 40 minutes of an episode left, which I is one of my favorite episodes, the entire Winds of Winter, where we get the reveal that Jon Snow is actually a Targaryen,
Yeah, that was
where
really good. Yeah.
we finally, after seasons of waiting, get Daenerys on ships to Westeros. Yay! That took way too long, but we're finally getting there. um, so yeah, that Winds of Winter is a standout, and my all-time favorite episode is Hard Home. Hard Home, where John goes with the wildlings to their wildling camp in season 5, episode 8, and he talks for a while. And I remember staying up for this until 7 a.m. in the morning because I just wanted to see the next episode, and I didn't expect this. Also, already the episode was great for me because we had the first real conversation between Tyrion and Daenerys, two of my favorite characters. But then the scene goes on for a very long time at Hardhome, and I'm like, where is this going? And then you get the score,
Clock.
the ticking clock of the whites, and I was like, oh, this is happening. And we finally get our full on battle between White Walkers and humanity, and from that point on, nothing else matters in the show. Nobody is gonna give a fuck who sits on the goddamn Iron Throne. If the whites come, you are going to be fucking dead. And
Yeah.
that battle shows why, because it's not a battle, it's a massacre. All the whites
Yes.
win. All the whites gain the dead humans, and you're like, we are so fucked. But that was so awesome.
Yeah, that
And
was.
that was a game changer. Like, I don't care for season 5, but that was the best episode of the show, in my opinion. So that was just one of my favorite moments in the entire show. What do you have, Rena?
I'm listening to you and you both. I'm gonna agree on the Battle of the Bastards. I agree on Hard Home. I love all of those. Like Battle of the Bastards is probably one of the most realistic battles set in the Middle Age kind of things because
Yes.
you feel they're all buried under bodies. I've never seen
Yes.
anything
Oh
like
yeah.
that.
Battle tactics.
Yeah, yeah. Hard Home, the clock, the ticket, it's incredible. But I realized that my favorite moments are smaller moments between characters. I love
Fair.
Brienne and Jamie's conversation in the hot tub when Jamie just tells her everything.
Yeah.
Like Tyrion's trial isn't that small of a moment, but
Oof.
just you see him just
Peter Dinklage deserved
yeah,
the
he
Emmy and the
spills
Golden Globe.
everything out.
Everything.
Definitely. Just yeah, little conversation in the Battle of the Bastards before the battle between John and Ramsay. First of all, every line that Ramsay delivered was
Oof.
incredible. How he says it. Also, I really like uh, Olenna making fun of
Yeah.
anyone.
Anything that Olenna says. Period.
It's great. Cersei. I also like listening to Cersei, but in terms of moments, it's just yeah, people the the greatest acting and the greatest character moments when they maybe reveal a little bit of themselves because everyone tries to be, more. They don't show. No one shows themselves fully to everyone, but those
No.
little glimpses into character are my favorite things.
True. Yeah,
I
no,
agree.
that's true, and that just shows the show has something for everyone. Because if you want those little character moments, you have that, like some great dialogue scenes. But you also have the big moments, and like we're forgetting a lot. I mean,
Oh yeah,
if you want to talk about some of the big moments, Baylor.
Another big one.
Oh,
Sorry. Is I was just gonna say the Battle of Blackwater Bay. Going back
yes,
a little bit too.
the
That
entire
that had
episode.
a lot of ramifications for what happens in the future, and also yeah, it's just really interesting to watch.
And
You
I
know
and I
how
like
it's
how
going.
Sansa and Cersei are talking
Yeah,
while all the
while the
shit is
battle is
happening.
going on.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that battle, like, wow, it's such a great battle. And this was early seasons when they didn't have the most budget, but the moment that the wildfire blows up and blows up all those ships is like,
Mhm.
wow. that is already a huge moment.
And kills Davos' son. Remember him?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I don't, but that's exactly the point. I think. Um, yeah, the Battle of Blackwater. Of course, how can you forget the Rains of Castamere, the
Oh,
Red
yeah.
Wedding?
Mhm.
Ah,
It's a great.
like I think everyone had like, what the hell just happened
Yeah,
in
no one
that
saw that
episode?
coming. No one.
I also want to say the Viper and the Mountain.
Oh,
Fucking
how could you
Yeah,
how
it
phenomenal
could you
was.
episode.
say Oberyn is one of your favorite
Oberyn is
characters?
one of the best characters who only lives for one
He's hard
season.
to remember because he's like so short lived, but yeah, that was his
Mm.
character arc. What little he's in there is so fun.
Oh, it's so good. Unfortunately, that does lead us to one of the weakest storylines of the entire show, Dorne.
Mm.
And I also want to say the Spoils of War. That was probably my favorite episode of
What is it?
season 7, where Daenerys and the Dothraki finally attack the Lannister
Ah.
army, and it's like, yes, we have been waiting for this. We have been waiting for Daenerys just being pissed at the Lannisters and killing them with her dragon and Dothraki.
And
Yes.
That
Jamie
was really
realizing
well
it all.
shot
Yeah, that was a
Mhm.
great battle. And Jamie and Bronn, they're like, how can we win this? We are so fucked right now.
because
And the,
that's. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, and the conversation that Jamie then has with Cersei, he's like, we can't win this. Dothraki I just saw the Dothraki in action. They kill for sport.
Yeah.
He's like, we cannot win this. We're so fucked. And it's like that moment. Yeah, like, yeah, Jamie learned something today. You were about to say something.
I was just gonna say that was like there was the really long shot of like him going towards the dragon, like he was gonna kill it too.
Yeah.
Like yeah,
Mhm.
there's just so many good moments. But another one was like I can't remember what season because I don't have as good of a memory as you guys. But the
Okay.
Blackfish, that was kind of an interesting back and forth too. Well, I can't remember what that guy's name was actually.
Yeah,
but he was on the
Blackfish River.
yeah. That battle between the Lannisters and them was kind of interesting as well.
Oh,
That whole
uh,
storyline, yeah.
Riverrun, where
Yeah, thank
Blackfish
you.
was held up in his castle at Riverrun, and Bronn and
Yeah.
Jamie were just there, like, we
Just let
can't.
us in.
Yeah, just let us in, and he's like, nope.
Yeah.
We have your son. We're gonna
I
kill
don't
him.
care.
Nope. We didn't.
That was awesome, yeah.
That's funny.
Mhm.
And then he ended up just, fighting to the death. So I like that. It's such a short, again, another really short-lived storyline, but it was fun.
Yeah, it's a small storyline, but
No, Watchers on the Wall, is it that?
yes, Watches on the Wall, episode 9 of season 4, completely dedicated to the Wall, where they have the Battle of the Wall between the Wildlings and the Night's Watch. That
Mhm.
was a pretty awesome episode.
Mm.
So yeah, I can talk great
Yeah, we could
episodes all
literally
day
go
because
through every single
there are so
episode.
many great moments, so many great episodes. But let's focus for a second on our issues with the show, because I don't absolutely love this show. I have a few issues with it, and I think we all do. Irina, what are some issues you have with this show?
Yes, I have issues.
Yes.
Well, the storylines that I saw already, the Stannis, Bran is taking his sweet ass time. Like, if there isn't a payoff, if he doesn't like warg into a dragon or something at the season 8, like give me something that give me something for that.
Okay.
I guess switching to the not following the books because the books ended
Yeah.
at one point. Not just because I don't think not just because the story no show writers couldn't do as good of a job as George R. R. Martin, but also because I think it will influence the what he writes as well.
Yeah.
And I don't want that. Like I granted I haven't read the books, but I would want a fully just uninfluenced story from Martin from beginning to an end.
Yeah.
And then having the show, because I'm sure he's gonna change stuff now. Um, Other than that, I don't think I have that many issues with the show.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off of that. My biggest issue has been when the show writers needed to take over and needed to make their own decisions compared to Martin, um, and also season 5 included with that. I know season 5 still follows the books, but my biggest issue with season 5 is the show writers realized they had sped up certain storylines compared to others, so they needed to completely hold certain storylines for others to catch up. That's why we don't even see any of Bran's storyline, which I do think is an interesting storyline, throughout season 5. And it's like, oh, cool. Also, Daenerys' storyline completely stops. She
Oh.
just stops in Marine, and she needs to wait for Tyrion to get there to finally do something with that. And then in season 6, she goes to Vice Dothrak. It's like, why are we going back? Well, because of the Dothraki, but it seems like they could have written it more smartly, but they didn't because they're the show writers, they're not George R. R. Martin. That's kind of my biggest issue, that they slowed down stuff in season 5, and then in season 7 they speed things up, that suddenly Tyrion is at the spoils in the spoils of war at the battle, seeing Jamie. That's like, how did you get there? When like there is suddenly characters show up at random places without any setup,
They
and it's
just
like,
teleport.
why are you there suddenly? Especially because the first couple of seasons of Game of Thrones really focused on the on getting to the destination. It focused more on the journey rather than the destination, and that's why every time you actually got to the destination, there was some payoff. You felt that payoff because for episodes you had been watching, we had been leading up to that moment. And in season 7, it's like we don't have time for that anymore. Destination. It's like, hmm, this doesn't feel as satisfying for some reason in a couple of
It's
cases.
time.
And I know it's time, and I understand what they're dealing with as well, so I can't really fault them, and it's still one of the best shows out there. But it's kind of something that I noticed, and it's mainly probably because George R. R. Martin didn't finish the books, and the show writers needed to
Mhm.
make their own decisions. That's what I. Ryan, any
Yeah,
issues for you?
I think that that's been a big one as far as like I want to say it's like somewhere in that halfway point where they were probably sitting down to write season 5 and they're like, we don't have enough time to tell all the story that we want to. Like we've been taking too much time. So now, like you said, in the 5th season, they had to catch up on a lot of stuff and we missed out on some storylines. So getting back to it in season 6 was like, okay, here we go. You can kind of feel the pace pick up and so much is happening, which is fine because it's still really interesting. But then definitely in season 7, they're going at like a breakneck speed to where, Daenerys is in one place and then 2 scenes later she's in a completely different, landmass, with the Dothraki now. So it doesn't ruin the show, obviously, because why would we still like it? But it definitely makes it like, okay, you took so long, like, and that's where you want to say, well, in that case, you should just extend it like another 2 seasons since it's taking longer than you thought it would. But
Yeah,
that's a big business decision, money decision to make, and I understand why they can't really do that. But I'll say another thing, kind of just besides that, would be a focus on a lot of storylines that just never really end up going anywhere.
yeah,
Um, Insofar as like we kind of talked about Arya, and it feels like maybe it's going to go somewhere, but she's just kind of been off on her own for so long to where there's like just a disconnect with the rest of the
hmm,
story. Where like you said, Case, it could have been so interesting with,
Jack
all this
Hagar.
like faceless man and Jaqen Hagar and what she has become. So now I'm kind of interested going, but it should have been interesting the whole time, I feel like.
Yeah,
And yeah, Stannis never did it for me. Like again, the only thing I liked was the Melisandre elements of his storyline and
hmm,
kind of like the pagan Wicker Man thing with like burning his daughter. That was still kind of interesting to me. I know it's horrible, but I don't know, it's just interesting to think like, okay, in that type of day and age, if this were real, not fantasy, that's something you would expect to see is like, I'm going to sacrifice my child to some unknown pagan god so that I can win. And then it doesn't work. And then
yeah.
he's like, what the F? Why didn't that work? And she's like, oh, you think I can predict? And he's like, yeah, because so that was
That's
like,
what you do.
yeah, exactly. That's the whole point. So, but no, I think that, yeah, his overall storyline was a huge waste of time. So there were intriguing parts, but I feel like they could have done that in just a way better, more interesting, more impactful way when really it
Cast a
just,
better actor as Thanos.
and that too. And then one last, like, gets on my nerves is just, again, coming back to, like, the Greyjoys. It got more interesting
Mm.
once
Let's
they,
say the Iron Islands. That's a
yeah,
big one
once
for
they
me.
Yeah.
introduced, I can't remember their uncle's name. It starts with an
You're on.
E. You're on. There we go.
He is great.
He's awesome. He's
Yeah.
hilarious. But again, maybe he's someone that should have been introduced earlier, or
And he
just,
was in the books. He was there from the basically
Yep.
the beginning because
Exactly.
he's like he also has some magic shit going on in the books. Like he's badass as shit.
right. And so, but instead, you chose to focus on Theon, which has its purpose here and there, but just we took so long with like him being tortured by Ramsay that it's just like, what is going on? And then he's back with
Fingering
his sister, and yeah, I know, right? And then he's back with his sister
Finger in
and
the bum.
following her around. Oh goodness gracious! He's following his sister around, and that goes nowhere. So it's just like it's these little storylines that I feel like never really lead anywhere until Euron started to kind of make it interesting with his squid boats. I want some of those boats; those things look awesome.
True.
But-
Sea bitch.
T-Bitch, yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah. I think we have said all about the show so far. Let's go into guys. Season 8 is starting very soon. I
So
cannot wait
close.
for it. We're just gonna go into some speculation, expectations,
How much time?
hopes. What do we hope will happen? There's just one thing I want. I don't care how it happens, what else happens. It's just I want to know what Podrick did to those girls because it's what everyone wants to know. And of course, Bronn needs to get his castle. I don't give a shit who ends up on the Iron
No
Throne.
one cares.
At this point, no one really cares. I just want Jon and Dany to be happy and have their incestuous baby. I don't care. Yeah, that's really all I want. I just want them to live because I like them. Other than that, yeah, I don't really care. What do you want to see in season 8?
Oh dear. Okay, I wanna go back a little bit to what Brian said about Arya's storyline not going anywhere. So it started with her like wanting revenge. She most of all, I think she wants to kill Cersei so much. That's not gonna happen. We know that probably Jaime's gonna kill. I want that.
I think so.
That would be
Popular
a good
theory.
ending to both of their characters because I think he would end with her. That's what's been hinted at. Like they came into this world together. They're gonna leave together. In terms of John and Danny, I don't know. I just know that show writers and Martin have something in store for us. Another big twist because Hodor's death happened. It's not in the books. Like it happened when show writers were already in charge of things, but it's George's idea. He gave it to them. He's like, do it in the show because it's important or something like that.
Yeah.
And maybe to show how Bran can go back and like
Yeah.
he can influence the past. I think that's gonna play. And he has something else which he also gave the show writers, and I can't wait to see what that is because there is going to be his thing in the finale. There's going to be something that he came up with, and he said that he doesn't like the clean cut good beats evil.
Yeah.
And it's going to be bittersweet. I'm sure it's going to rip our hearts out at one point.
Oh yeah.
No one's gonna be happy. Some people maybe. I want to see. Okay, I want to see Arya die. I honestly do. That would be an ending to her character. There's nothing else for her. She's not gonna build a family. She's not gonna do any of that.
Well, unless she gets together with Gendry.
Oh dear, Gendry. Remember him rowing for
Clovis.
Yeah, maybe I'll come up with something else, but
Alright.
mostly just right ending for our characters, even if it's sad and bad. Just honor them.
Yeah.
In the last season.
True. Ryan, expectations.
I think that the best thing to do, and this is what I'm expecting to happen, is to do, like we said, what we aren't expecting. Because if everything just wraps up in a neat little bow and someone ends up on the Iron Throne and it's like, oh, Daenerys is on the Iron Throne, just like everyone has been saying since like season 1. So that's not going to happen because, or at least it shouldn't. Or if it does, it only happens because like she just murders everyone and becomes like this dictator or something. You know what I'm saying? Like it would have to be like still the complete opposite of what we expect to happen. And maybe, she like fully falls into her Targaryen-ness, something along those lines. I I think the character that I'm most intrigued to see what happens to is John and her because of how they set up the storyline. I don't think both of them are going to survive. So I think it's going to be interesting to see who, if either of them, even survive. So I
True.
just want a lot of people to die, and I don't want it to be
They
perfectly
will.
happy. And yeah, I think I just really want. I want to be left wanting more,
Yeah.
while still being like, that was awesome, and there's no way, And that's what. So like they've built up so much that I would hate to be these writers. I would hate to be these writers because how do you wrap up
Yeah. How do you
7 seasons of expectations? Everyone has a different thing that they want to have happen, so there's no way everyone can walk away happy. But
True.
yeah, it's gonna be like Kay said. I just want it to happen. I just want it to be here already. So
We didn't say anything about White Walkers. How do we think this
Oof.
is gonna end?
I don't know. I just know that I can't wait to see what'll happen with the Night King. We already know that season or that episode 3 of the season will be the Battle of Winterfell, which is longer than the Battle of Helm's Deep in Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. So just knowing that, it's like that's gonna be some battle. And if that's episode 3, what will be episodes
yeah.
4, 5, and 6? What will Cersei do after that? That's a huge question. I, as you said, Martin's ideology was that no character is clear cut good or evil, and so can't the White Walkers
That's what
or the
they,
Night
yeah.
King be. So that means there needs to be some humanity in them, right?
Well, I mean, they
What'll
were
happen with
originally
that?
to like restore a certain balance too by
I
bringing
do
people
think that
back to
that's what they
life.
want.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So then the question is, what'll happen with that? I don't know. I just cannot wait to find out.
And I'm
Uh,
wondering too if they're going to like make it so far south and then they're like, this is, we're good here. Like this is our land from here to the north. And like now the humans kind of have to just accept that half of the population in Westeros is now dead and as a White Walker. And like, maybe some people that we really like are now just White Walkers for eternity type of thing. So
maybe.
there's a
Well,
lot of interesting shit that could happen.
John.
Already a character that we really like is a White Walker, Viserion.
True.
So
I, I'll be very afraid if John has to take the place of the Night King. I
it's,
heard there's a good theory, but
there are a million
yeah,
theories.
there are. But I do think that they need something. Their breed might be dying. That the walkers, not the zombies.
Right.
But the Night King might be dying, and he needs a replacement because it's also a species, and he wants John or something like that because he was looking at him like, you're a tasty slice. I don't know, something like that. But I know it's gonna be good either way. If it's bad, if it's worse than how much your mother sent me,
Oh dear,
uh,
sorry, I
no,
had to.
no, guys. I think that's where we should end this.
I'm
I
so sorry.
I think we have all our thoughts out.
that was a good
I cannot.
conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I cannot wait for season 8. I know you guys can't either. So guys, check us out reviewing every single episode from next week.
Definitely.
Look it out. Look out for it. Of course,
Oh, sorry.
depending on scheduling, like our review might drop on either Monday or Tuesday. Of course, depending on scheduling, but we try to get it out as soon as we have seen the episode and we've all lined up our schedules to make sure that we can record our review. So look out for that. Also, check out our coverage of everything in Star Wars Celebration that is going up on this channel. There's a lot, so look out for that. It's going to be amazing as well. And with that, we're going to plug ourselves. You don't have to a lot of.
I'll be here.
She's here sometimes. Exactly. Ryan, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at Clan McClellan and on Instagram at Vintage Sights and Sounds. And then, yes, here on Monday or Tuesday. And I cannot wait. It's going to be insane.
Yes, and of course you can find me at Dutch Movie Guy on Twitter, Kees Cornelissen on Letterboxd and Facebook, and I think that's really it. Check check out Game of Thrones season 8 as soon as it drops, and our reviews,
And
of
tell
course.
us what you want to see,
Yes.
please.
Let us know in the comments. What do you want to see about Game of Thrones season 8? What do you think about the other seasons? Stand-up moments. Let us know anything.
What did
Do
we
you agree?
forget? We definitely will forget so
We
Oh
much.
forgot
yeah, there's
everything.
something.
There's so much in this
There's
show.
too much.
Look, we tried to cover all of Game of Thrones in an hour. That's impossible. I can talk about this for days.
Yep.
So yeah, let us know in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course, we'll see you at the next video. Take care.